We've spent years in the financial services industry working for lenders, analyzing individuals' financial information, and designing programs to help people improve their financial lives. And if you're muddling along financially, I want to give you 5 priorities that you should focus on to help you make meaningful progress in your financial life. Priority 1, pay off debt. We all know that debt can be a drag on our financial lives. Debt payments can feel a lot like an anchor that is holding us back. In fact, interest expense on debt can sometimes mean the difference between having enough money to accomplish our goals and barely scraping by. Even if you are successful managing your debt, you could be flushing a lot of money down the drain in the form of interest expense. Getting out of debt ought to be our first priority. Easier said than done, right? Well, yes, but that doesn't mean that paying off debt is not doable. There's a lot of different strategies for making progress. You can consider the snowball method or the avalanche method. You could turn to debt consolidation loans or consult a certified debt counselor at a nonprofit organization. You can cut expenses or pick up side gigs to earn extra money. Or you can do a combination of all these things. The most important thing is that you recognize that there are a lot of different ways that you can do it. And you just need to find the method that works best for you and stick with it. At our website, we have a free debt payoff calculator. You can put in your debts and it will automatically evaluate different methods for paying off debt. So you can find the one that will save you the most money and get you out of debt the fastest. Priority 2, build financial resilience. Personal finance influencers really like to wag their finger at people with debt. Your life would be so much better if you just avoid buying that extra pair of shoes with your credit card. But here's a little secret. Failing to control their spending is not the top reason people fall into debt. And it's not even the second most common reason. Most people fall into debt for reasons that have nothing to do with the desire to buy more stuff. Debt hits them when their income drops because they lose their job or lose hours that they can work. They run into medical issues or an unexpected expense blindsides them. That's why building financial resilience has to be one of your financial priorities. Even if you are good at controlling your spending, unexpected expenses can upend your financial life because they're unexpected. Resilience is about being able to weather challenges that hit you. There are several ways to build financial resilience into your finances, and the first is to have a rainy day fund. Having a savings devoted to emergencies can go a long way to help you avoid debt. So how much should you save? Well, that will depend on your situation. Look closely at your obligations and responsibilities and think about all the things that could happen that you would have to deal with. A transmission goes out, air conditioning fails, the cost of an emergency room visit, helping an ailing parent. If you own your own home, you probably need a bigger rainy day fund. If you are financially responsible for children or an elderly adult, you probably need more saved. If you have broad fluctuations in your income, you probably need a bigger cushion. Another way to increase your financial resilience is to decrease your fixed costs. Fixed costs are expenses that do not change from month to month. They hang over you no matter what happens. Having high fixed costs can mean that you would struggle to absorb a month with high unexpected expenses. Those expenses don't need to even be emergencies. They could be sports fees for a child, the chance to visit a friend or family member across the country, a spike in your electricity bill, or an unexpectedly high tax bill. Decreasing your fixed costs can allow you to be more flexible when things come up. Another way to increase your financial resilience is to have the right insurance. Large-scale incidents can completely upend your financial life. And if the event is big enough, you could never hope to save enough money to take care of it yourself. Of course, most of us already know that we need car insurance, home insurance, and health insurance. But people can overlook things like renter's insurance, disability insurance, and life insurance. There's definitely such a thing as having too little insurance, but there's also such a thing as having too much coverage. You want to cover the most catastrophic situations, but not waste a lot of money on premiums for coverage that isn't helpful. If you want to look for help to determine if you can save money on homeowners or auto insurance, visit us at the Yukon Project. Sign up and we will have an independent insurance agent contact you. They have relationships with over 200 carriers nationwide, so they have a good chance of finding just what you need. Priority 3, build a short-term savings. I distinguish the difference between a rainy day fund and a short-term savings. One is all about emergencies and the other is all about living. I spoke to a lady who took out a high-interest loan to help her adult son with needed dental work, even though she had enough money in the bank to cover the expense. She wanted to protect her rainy day fund. She had successfully saved an emergency fund, but she couldn't bring herself to use the money when it was needed for something that she didn't think was an emergency. She needed to distinguish between an emergency fund and a general savings. But there's another reason I think building a short-term savings fund is important. You need money that you know is there to be spent. If you have the opportunity you don't want to pass up to go to that Taylor Swift concert and all you had is your emergency fund, you either steal from your resilience or you go into debt. If you had a savings that you knew was there to be used, you would be giving yourself permission to use that money in a broader range of ways. I recommend you open several savings accounts with your bank, especially if it won't increase your account maintenance fees. Name each account a different thing: rainy day fund, new car, summer vacation, holiday spending, fun. You get the idea. That way you have a better sense of how you can use the savings you already have. Priority 4, plan for the future. We human beings have a way of being very short-term focused. In fact, behavioral psychologists have found that people don't think of their future selves as themselves. When we think of our future selves, we use a part of our brain that we use when we are thinking of other people. Our future selves aren't really us. This means that we are less likely to sacrifice for our future selves. That person, he can fend for himself. That's not my problem. That's why it's so important that we prioritize our futures. When we are in our 20s, the future is a long way off. When we are in our 50s, we are shocked at how fast the time has passed. If we wait for the future to be upon us, it's no longer the future. It's the present, and we are too late. So when you're thinking about your finances, it's always important to include the future us in the plans. Here are some pretty basic ideas for things that we can do to plan for our future. Use compound interest to your advantage. Make a habit of putting money aside for retirement as early as possible, in your 20s if you can. The earlier you put money into a compounding investment, the more certain you will build wealth. The stock market can go up and down in a few years, but it's most likely to go up the longer you keep your money in there. Pay in early and play the long game. Build wealth. For the last 4 generations of American life, one of the most effective ways to build wealth is to buy a house. But with interest rates as high as they are right now, you might actually build wealth faster by not buying a house. Do the math, obviously. Consider property tax, maintenance costs, and interest expense. If you find that you can save money by renting, make sure to put the money that you're saving into long-term investments. Saving money either by renting or buying a home does you no good if you use the money you save to increase your spending. If your employer offers 401k matching, you should contribute enough to maximize their matching, no matter what. You will never get a better return on investment than you will by getting the employer's matching funds. Think of it this way. If your employer matches up to 3% and you contribute your 3%, you've doubled your investment immediately. You put in 3% and got 6%. That's the best no-risk return that you'll ever see. Priority 5, enjoy life. A lot of people are surprised when I tell them that they need to include enjoying life in their financial plan. It isn't personal finance just about saying no? Isn't it just a collection of sacrificing the fun in life? We shouldn't be living for our money. Our money should be helping us live. Money should be an extension of what matters to us in our lives. Good money management means balancing our financial constraints with living the best life we can. For some, that means being able to give back to their communities. For others, it means finding personal fulfillment. And for others, it means prioritizing security. Use your money to help you live the kind of life that will bring you joy, happiness, and fulfillment. Don't blindly accept other people's money values and resist the temptation to think that your personal fulfillment always equates to spending money or buying something. Recognize that the best use of money is to live a meaningful life. So don't forget to enjoy yourself along the way. Don't just fumble along with your month-to-month finances. If you set your priorities, you will have better success and your money can help you live the life that you want to live. Which priorities do you focus on when you manage your money? Leave a comment below and let us know. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can continue to bring you unbiased financial advice. Thanks for watching.